these 3 or 4 other teams beyond these 2, if you are one of the 3, going to have to start with a win here and going to have to just continue to see that improvement. OMG getting the selection of first pick here. Ultra Prime choosing blue side with their first selection.
So it was actually Ultra Prime. They've been one of the only teams doing this. Shout out to both Elk and Kai. We've got producer Kai with us today. They've been helping us with the first selections. Ultra Prime, they chose counterpick. So it was OMG that chose red side, which is quite interesting. And right now, the highest win rate across the 4 combinations you can get with first selection globally has actually been red side counterpick, as red side has a higher win rate so far, which has been a little bit of a surprise for me because I've been talking a lot about how blue side has bias, just how the camera is, the trapezoid, and where the HUD's located. I feel like there's a lot of bias in terms of blue side. And
yeah, it's...
Oh, it is?
I do believe it's so yeah, the OMG has the 4 characters. So OMG chose pick order. So they chose first pick, which means, and Ultra Prime had first selection, so they chose blue side.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe
so they're just breaking all the rules. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's completely contrary to what the stats say. But
well, that said, I've been 2 stuck. We're behind on draft, Gordo. Where are we at right now?
Yeah. Well, we find ourselves with Haichao in mid on the rise, so he is going back to the well in regards to a pick that he has been able to put up, I guess, some of his better performance on historically. No mid laner selected for Saber yet. That's still our matchup to keep an eye on. Oh, Rio's in the lineup. How about that? We're learning all sorts of things in game number 1 as we kick off, Cubby.
Well, Juhan has not been a strong point for OMG, so I guess trying to throw a little bit of
said that, that's
in the
for
mix.
sure.
Yeah, we have. As we get through this draft, I will say I have a lot of bias right now when it comes to K'Sante versus Rumble. And Liangchen had a fantastic K'Sante performance the first time these 2 teams met, so happy to see him have his hands on this matchup. I do think that with the rise, onus is kind of on you to play fast, and curious how Ultra Prime can try to answer that. I don't know if they have enough crowd control at the moment to really support a Yunara. Aurora brings the deeps, doesn't exactly bring the CC. That's going to be a lot of damage for Saber, who, of course, has been the player of the game in all of Ultra Prime's wins, as you highlighted earlier, Gordo.
Yeah, and eyes on XiaoXia then, who has been playing Rel more than anything else so far this season, would certainly give you a little bit of that additional crowd control that you're looking for from this stage of the draft. Does look like they're going to find out their bot lane opponents here. Starry going to snap up that Corki for a little bit of lane pressure up against the Yunara. It's been a matchup that plenty of bot lanes across the league and across the world have been prioritizing, and Moham on the lookout for this Bard. Just try to give them some additional playmaking around the map, roaming alongside the Rise. He's going to snap it up.
We'll say the Lulu ban in a way makes a little bit more sense, just given the pairing of Yunara. I think that really disincentivized an Alistar coming in here, which could be a very strong last pick, as XiaoXia is going to get his hands on the Nautilus and that point-and-click depth charge. And we'll see if he's able to find the reach in the back line. I think right now for Ultra Prime, scaling has been the name of the game. Trundle scales really nicely into the Xin Zhao matchup. I think Pillar to try and impact mid, sending 3 mid to attack Haichao on the rise, something that I'm looking for Ultra Prime to do in game plan early in the game, and try and draw attention away from top, where Liangchen in isolation should be able to play this K'Sante to scale into the game and beat Rumble later on. OMG, I think early grub is going to be really important for them, and early laning. Both side lanes for me early on have the potential to push, could be winning. I think that Yunara versus the Corki Bard could see that potentially be a 3-wave crash in favor of Yunara into the bounce back, but early objectives I think very important for OMG this game, and they did choose red side first, which usually we've seen teams taking first pick or counter pick. Red side gives you better access to the dragon. Curious to see if OMG can use that to stack some of those early dragons, as they have taken a lot of early priority for themselves. And for me, OMG, we've seen them really fail to get that engine started or going. So with Rio now in the lineup for that first ever start and no Juhan, we're going to have to see if he can really step up and do something with that.
Yeah, definitely. So, new jungler in for OMG. I mean, we got to see Rio a little bit in Demacia Cup, but he was pretty quickly benched for Juhan. So, kind of swapping back and forth here, trying to make something work, but you know what? With your season up against the line, with the split very close to over, if you aren't able to turn things around, they're going to call in their rookie, the call up from OMG Academy, in his first LPL game.
Yeah, good stuff, Gordo. I was just pinging Dimitri, Elk Battery behind the scenes. Can you get me anything on Ryu? You're more prepped than me for this, so appreciate
I
that.
remember I cast a game of him on OMG back in Demacia
Excellent.
Cup. It wasn't all inspired. Listen, it was. If you were an OMG fan, you were happy when Juhan came in. The team looked better with Juhan.
I think if you're an OMG fan, you're also happy to see Juhan hop out now, which sadly has been the curse of Juhan. I feel like going back to even my time when I was on the LCK, TV space, very lucky to have that opportunity. I was watching the DRX team swap between Pioshik and Juhan, and Juhan was the one that actually got them to Worlds, which I think is a part of the story that a lot of people forget about or don't remember when it comes to that DRX squad. So. Sadly for Juhan, it really feels like he struggled to always keep that starting spot. Sadly continued here. But hey, great opportunity for Rayo. Again, talked about how much of a high-stakes matchup this is for both teams, trajectory of the orgs moving forward, and really the power of escaping Group Nirvana and trying to get better competition, better scrim pool. That is what both teams are playing for today. So curious to see, with the stakes a little bit higher, who steps up to the plate.
Absolutely are. And just for now, it is going to be a top-to-bottom clear for both of the junglers. All right, let's see if Rio can get a little bit more creative here to try to make something happen in the early game on this XiaoXia. Was spotted on that vision by the birds, so they're well aware of his current presence. Checking out this laning phase. Already out of mana here is Haichao, who will be looking to get himself a recall before too long to pick up that tier goddess.
You can see Hena with the Yunar really keeping the pressure on. Bard does need a little bit of time to scale into this matchup. Should hopefully help Grizzly secure this bot crab, as we do have match clears from each of our junglers here at Gordo. And with Bard in base, numbers advantage over to Ultra Prime on this bot side early.
Yeah, so getting the wave shoved on in here. This is not too bad, facing off against the double range bot lane. Starry out here alone for the time being, so he has to have his wits about him somewhat. Pairing up with Grizzly now is XiaoXia. They should have no problem getting themselves this scuttler, and see if Rio is going to be able to get back over to the top one in time. Looks like he is well aware of the situation that he finds himself in. We'll just path up towards the top, handshake those scuttle crabs, and both parties will be heading back to Retall and spend off of that first clear. All in all, too crazy here so far, as are on the lookout somewhat to see if Starry and Moham could try to get this push back for themselves. Of course, their recall's now desynced, means that Starry got to get back to the base. Hena coming back off of his recall already.
Yeah, actually curious in terms of the tech for Hery, going for the first strike rumble. Yeah, this does take a little bit of power away from your early laning, but the inspiration tree for Rumble is so nice, between the potential to go cash back, potential to take the elixirs. Can be a lot of really nice utility for Rumble. Curious if he actually ended up going for the lower flash timer, as he did just have his flash burned by a nice quick visit with Grizzly. One pillar, one flash down.
Good start for Grizzly here. See if he's going to be able to revisit and take the fight to Hery a little bit. Hery has liked to play a lot of these early top lanes pretty aggressively. He's been one of those really just trying to get an advantage early on, so a little bit of a departure in terms of this first strike. He's also been one of the players that's kind of leaned into stuff like the Zehen a little bit more, so he's kind of amped up his damage numbers that way. But for right now, of course, going back to the old trusty Rumble, one of the highest priority picks in the top lane right now, and does successfully evade a gank and got himself the faintest of gold leads, but nothing that's going to take you across the finish line.
Pause here. I think a lot of the jungle meta right now has been about really fighting for the third crab spawn, as we are going to see the bot crab be the first one to spawn. This has pretty much been the meta. There's a little bit of attack. I want to credit Jimada, who co-streams LPL, sometimes watches our broadcast too. Not sure he's live tonight, as this isn't exactly a marquee matchup, even if the stakes are pretty high, but there is some tech where if you base before you take your final camp on the second clear, you can actually upgrade your smite, just given the time burned early. So we do see Grizzly, because you're trying to get that snack. You can see he's at 21 right now. If you have 20, you do upgrade your smite, which is a big deal in terms of taking this crab. If it ends up being contested, at the moment looks like it is not going to be contested. I say that, but I just saw Rio dip his way down to this bot side, and we got a little bit of contention going on. So I think Grizzly's going to give this.
Wow.
Try and take the recall. I think this means a potential quick revisit up towards the top side. Of course, Hery down flash. Liangchen does have 6. I think that's a very easy target. And Hery even taking their early Swifties to try and play defense against this, as he understands that Trump will likely heading up towards his side again. As Rhea just going to take this bot crab. That's 6. Is that third crab part of the reason it's so contested? It does grant you 6 after the 2 full clears. It'll be a dragon start for him. I think Grizzly calling the bluff, going to beat him to the top side, try and take the red buff away. Gives you a lot more power for grubs, and will help Trundle get ahead. So red side being selected again by OMG instead of first pick or counter pick. Going to use that and just clearing down on the map. Strength Zins out early to make sure they lock down that first dragon for themselves.
Yeah, bringing over XiaoXia to try to get some mid push here just to be able to support
Moham's
them on these efforts. Grizzly going to be able to take the red buff before Moham figures out what he's up to. So they had a pretty good guess going for themselves. They will be able to get their own chickens. Doesn't take level 6, so Grizzly going to have to pay that respect and back on away as he goes towards his own side camps. But like you said, Hery got to be on the lookout. Does have his ult coming back up in a couple of seconds, but that flash you cannot say the same for. Moham arriving towards the bottom side off of the Spellbook teleport just to come and support Starry in the laning phase. As nobody pulling ahead too far here, but again, that slightly more aggressive bottom lane, not keeping Hena down by any means. See if that Yunara skirmishing power does really rear its head here in future Dragon takes, as OMG did, of course, claim the first objective.
Look. Oh, that's a nice hook there from XiaoXia. Wes connected early. Hena gonna pop the ult. They're going, but flash is burned bot.
Yeah, they get themselves the barrier off of Starry as well. So yeah, that flash down for Starry may end up making a pretty significant difference. He did take level 6 right before that fight started, so Hena not able to take advantage of that XP lead.
We'll say it, given the trade and given the TP being locked down by XiaoXia with the Spellbook, they're going to try and beat him to the grubs up here, but you see Rayo already ready, and Grizzly skipped over his red buff, still has Rayo's red buff. That should come out pretty soon. As I think given the draft that OMG has, these grubs are a little bit scary for Ultra Prime. You don't love fighting against Rumble at this point of the game. Even if Hery did go for the early Swifties, that equalizer, if it's well placed, is going to be dire.
Yeah, XiaoXia dangling the dredge line out there, doesn't end up finding its mark, but now steps up to the bush, going to have to Spider-Man his way out to safety as he loses about half his HP. Pretty significant health bar lead for OMG now after they get a solid trade up against XiaoXia, as they do look to continue to pressure onto these grubs. Going to start off with the Scuttle Crab first, and Grizzly not going to be able to get over there in time to contest it. Quick magical journey out to safety, and Grizzly going to start up the grubs anyway, speedrun or no.
I think this is a little scary to get away from Moham to connect. Off going.
Yeah, Hokan in the pressing guard, going to push them back away. Grizzly kind of cut off from the rest of his team, but Hery might be the focus. He's already overheated. Flash after from Liangchen, looking to be able to dash through the team, finds the first blood onto his lane opponent, but now there's 4 members of OMG right in front of him. Haichao claims that kill and makes it a 1-for-1.
I still believe Grizzly sniped away 2 grubs, and with Starry showing, yeah, a little bit of creativity needed here by OMG. Haichao's going to TP to the bot lane, make sure they clean up that wave, doesn't miss too much. Starry will plant himself mid. I actually thought the flash from Grizzly ended up being kind of nice, as he gets himself out of the equalizer, away from some danger, because he's going to be the focus. As he gets locked down there, dodged out of the queue from Moham, got away from a lot of the damage. It's set up nicely for Saber to hit a big ultimate himself, and at least got him off the grub. So I think a 1-for-1 trade, the fact that Starry showed that he get a TP out of Rise, that could matter when it comes to the upcoming Dragon in 90 seconds. I think a few tools taken away that can really look to be punished when looking at those topside flashes missing for OMG. And of course, Starry still missing his flash from the initial play where it was XiaoXia trading up as he traded his own flash for Starry. So I think this next Dragon, again, early game plan for OMG is to try and get ahead, try and stack these objectives. They're down a grub. That win did go over to Ultra Prime. I think revisiting the Dragon to try and get that second one for themselves might be a tough fight with all the tools that are missing now on their side.
First blood goal feels real good for Liangchen as well. He does find himself a bit faint
Good
lead
shout.
and that pick up on the
Yeah.
Koenig Rooker, and so
Good shout.
he's gonna feel really strong in that one-on-one for at least until the next recall, and Leandri's likely going to end up coming on through, but completing the Koenig Rooker is huge for him.
Yeah, I will say that, like, I was kind of surprised when looking at LPL stats. I see Kasante at a 38% win rate right now. Because I think globally, when looking at this matchup, I have a lot of bias for Kasante against the Rumble. It just feels like you get away with the free laning phase, and I will say, something that I've been started to track when it comes to top lane experience is the fact that everyone has access to lore. I think sometimes matchups where you can get out of the bad breakpoints early on can be quite nice. This is one where levels matter a lot for Kasante when fighting the Rumble. And, of course, the Koenig Rooker and early breakpoint is massive in terms of his ability to fight both of the solo laners for OMG. So, see if he's able to make it to this one. He does have that teleport available. Hery does as well, as Rayo already using that Wind Becomes Lightning to yoink this Drake.
Going to look to get themselves up to 2-0 in that department. XiaoXia going to find the dredge line on Rayo, though, who dashes forward, looking to take the fight to the support, and Haichao gets a second between worlds thrown on out by Saber, but the damage just isn't here for Ultra Prime. Saber, nice dodge there, but locked down by Haichao regardless. Pepper Fate didn't connect, though, so he will be able to get himself out. Liangchen finds an angle onto Hery, looking to solo this man out, and maybe buy a little bit of something back for Ultra Prime. Hery making a mad dash back to his turret, and it looks like he will be able to find a space to be safe.
His conditions are bad, though. This is diveable, maybe, for Liangchen if he wants to get fancy. Meanwhile, the dragon fight, I don't really know what XiaoXia was thinking on the take. This is not an Aftershock Nautilus. It's a Spellbook Nautilus. And, that was very clear with how paper that Nautilus was once he hopped in and was shredded by OMG. We'll say, I think that Rayo deserves a little bit of credit. This is a matchup early on where going into Trundle, Xin Zhao has some strength. Subjugate is the big doomsday scenario for Xin. And, of course, stealing AD away from Xin is quite good for the Trundle, too. But I think Rayo's done a decent job of piloting around this one. Getting the 2 dragons for his team. Keep in mind, OMG, they didn't take first pick. They didn't take counter pick. They took red side. That is better access to dragon, given how the map is designed. You get better access to that pit, whereas blue side gets more access to the Baron. They have cashed it in with the first 2 dragons. And as a sub coming in, I think Rayo deserves a little bit of credit in his first LPL game for being able to execute this early game plan, one that I really feel like OMG were planning on based on their selection for first selection.
Absolutely solid position coming in for OMG, being able to pick up those objectives, start that dragon stacking nice and early. Next objective up is going to be that Rift Herald, and Ultra Prime already trying to set themselves up into a positive position. They move Saber up to the top side. Haichao going to be present there as well as they look to just maintain control over the river. XiaoXia and Grizzly doing just that right now is Moham going to get comboed a bit. Nice Cosmic Binding, going to stop them from advancing forward. But like the look from Grizzly and XiaoXia.
Haichao's actually in a decent spot, sitting at 2-0. The 6 iron I had earlier is far away at the moment, as Haichao, I think, really has the potential to do something.
I didn't want to ask you, but it's
I know.
good.
I gotta visit it. I'm trying to honor the game here. The rocket belts on Saber is a bit interesting to me. I'm not exactly used to seeing this one on Aurora. I'm a little bit biased towards Leandri's, but this is a pretty squishy game. Obviously, Leandri's gives you more damage against the tanks. I think Aurora, her mana costs are relatively reasonable, which sometimes enables you to crush that. But this game... Oh, hold on.
Pick on a Moham. Does flash and Magical Journey his way out. But a quick claim of the flash in trade for 2 ultimates from the likes of Ultra Prime and OMG.
I think that's Rift. I think that means OMG gets Rift. I don't know if Up can fight without those 2 ults. I actually think that's very worth it for Moham as he navigates his way out of there. Bard has some sustain. I'd be kind of surprised if Ultra Prime still decides to contest him. Frankly, I'd be more down to pressure bot side, try and pressure Hery out. I think matching here is a mistake because Grizzly's going to face check Rayo.
Yeah, Rayo gets on in there. Quick pillar thrown in between them to get him off of his back. Grizzly still looking to try to find a path in here, though. Ends up getting Cosmic Bound up against XiaoXia and has to flash out to safety. They're holding down Rayo, but the damage just isn't manifesting yet. TP
Really?
for both top laners being channeled. They're getting up here for the full 5-on-5. Hena with the ultimate ticking. Throws out a little bit of a slow, but now going to get caught by that Tempered Fate. Going to have to back away as Hery layers on down the ultimate. Dashing forward, it's onto Liangchen. He's tanking up to survive for a little bit, but the Crescent Guard going to keep Rayo standing, attempting to burn down onto Hena. Cut off from the rest of the team. Flash from Starry, flash from Hery, but not enough damage to finish off the Yunara. No bodies hit the floor, but OMG with the health bar lead.
I really do not like that take from Ultra Prime. I just thought that with the two ultimates being down, that's a Rift Herald done and dusted. And the trades that we have there, I don't think Ultra Prime trades up. I mean, a lot of flashes are burned and used, but Hena being down flash is going to be a real significant one. And I think the next place that OMG, you got to figure they're going to look. As that Rift Herald falls, and we're a $120 away from the Dragon. Given what Ultra Prime, like, they decided to contest, there was no trade elsewhere. I really feel like attacking Hery once you're down those two ultimates or trading power on sides of the map matters. We're going to see a replay of a whole lot of nothing, but think of the opportunity cost that we're fighting here for Ultra Prime. And this is a comp that wants to scale. You're down two Dragons. Give away this Rift Herald, like, yes, that can be used to help you set up the Dragons, but you're down two very important ultimates early on. We're looking at Auroras between worlds in the Depth Charge Monoliths. Like, go bot side, go set up vision, go make it tough for OMG to get that third Dragon instead of fighting, I think, outside your power window that you drafted for your comp. And fighting at its advantage being down ults, like, outside of comp, even before that. So, I know there's no blood, but I feel like the opportunity cost that Ultra Prime missed of potentially an easy dive on Rumble. Look at this, OMG, they're able to reset after the Rift Herald, use the Empowered Recalls, and get control. And Up didn't use that time to do this when I think their fight was looking quite bad, missing those two ultimates. I really feel like Ultra Prime could have owned some of this real estate and made the third Dragon much harder for OMG than what it's going to be, and what I view is a very OMG-favored fight coming up.
Yeah, and without any flashes on pretty much either side here, it's just so dangerous to be up in the river and trying to contest for it if you aren't the ones who get the initial control. As I say that, Ultra Prime find themselves a window after crashing up in the mid lane to be able to get over here and try to take some control for themselves. XiaoXia's dredge line goes wide, but Moham takes a rough chunk from Saber regardless, and now OMG have to try to push their way in here. Rio going to lead the charge, dives in, throws on out the equalizer from Hery, and Hena just gets burned right down. That flashless Yunara, nowhere to go, nothing to do. Two members of Ultra Prime fall, OMG on Soul Point. And this is a clean game from OMG so far, dare I say, Cubby.
I mean, Rhea stepping in like this is massive. I really feel like as a sub sometimes you get that sixth man POV bird's eye view can be helpful. The youngsters making good use of it. I'm still mad at Ultra Prime. I do not understand that Rift Herald fight whatsoever, because I really feel like that made the setup for the Dragon hard, and then what's their answer to that? They try and rush the Dragon when Herald is dropped, and look at how disconnected they are. Hery was able to walk in bot for free. There's no wards around him. He's not even spotted. Hena's splashless. Where's the help for the Yunara? Where's the Kasante in front? I mean, I would say where the Nautilus of the Aurora is, but they're going golden as Moham hits a very nice Tempered Fate. But this setup for Up, I really feel like they could have had one if they dropped the Herald and they actually play for this terrain. Instead, they try and fight all of the above and just straight lose because they're not trying to trade on the map. They're trying to match everything when they are just the weaker team in terms of draft and where we're at in the game. And that has snowballed the game further out of control than where I really feel like things should be for Ultra Prime.
I mean, a little bit of new life injected into OMG here. 19 minutes into game number 1 with the new rookie jungler, and yeah, Rayo just doing his job, right? Throws himself into the fray, knows that they have favorable fight conditions, and oh boy, do they. Hena can't even play the game. And now they find themselves with a 3.5k gold lead, one Dragon away from Soul. It's a really dominant position for OMG here in game number 1. And Ultra Prime's odds of being able to repeat the quick 2-0 that they showed just a couple of weeks ago feel pretty low.
Dude, if Haichao sees the segment we did in the pre-show, man, he deserves to type jungle diff. I feel like that's the only solution, yeah?
Yeah.
It is, put her over there and be like, look at me now.
Well, thank goodness we talked about your relationship with Haichao rather than just dumping on Juhan for the entire pre-show because he's not even
true.
here.
I wasn't going to mention the 0.9 KDA, but I feel like, we really have to drive the stake in now to what, might have been the skill vampire for OMG. That might have been too far. Anyway, it has been a struggle for Juhan, and we got to give credit to Rayo, as this is his first formal LPL start outside of LPL, coming from that OMG Academy squad. And I really feel like with Red Side, you were going to take Red Side instead of first or counter pick because you want access to the Dragon. That is your priority if you were taking Red Side instead of first or counter pick. The rookie in his first ever LPL game has ensured that they have 3 Dragons on time in a sound lead so far. Grubs have been the only neutral objective that had dropped, and he got counter picked. This is a bundle when it zins out, so I think Rayo deserves some serious kudos as they played that one a little bit too fast between worlds. Does get Saber out. Got a Wind Become Lightning out of that. Oh, that's Subjugate.
Yeah, some pretty fair damage here, trying to slow on up onto Ryu.
Gonna get through his own pillar.
Yeah, it's a little bit of terrain action getting in the way of Ultra Prime and what they want to accomplish, but no harm and no foul, I guess, for now. The follow-up fight doesn't really transpire in either direction. Nobody's going to hit the floor this time around. It's already getting to be close towards that potential Soul Dragon. OMG have done such a good job of controlling these so far. Ultra Prime, they better get whatever spikes they can and try to roll up to this fight with the ability to execute. They need to be able to find some kind of good engage angle for themselves. They need to be able to keep Hena safe, and they can't let this 3.5k gold lead stop them from being able to get into this river and stop the Soul from going over, or this game might be done and dusted.
It's feeling closer and closer. I will say, I think Ocean Soul is more of a state of mind. This is probably the worst role for OMG. They want to play burstier fights with the Rumble. And there's not a lot of poke. The Ocean Soul gets a lot of value against going up against Ultra Prime, so I do think that this is the worst role for him in terms of the Dragons. I always subscribe to the old point that I think I always associate Monte Cristo. I really wonder that the Dragon Soul should show in terms of drafting. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. I'm so on that train. Absolutely.
I am on that train, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that OMG, like, their draft doesn't really utilize what could be the Ocean Soul. And Ocean Soul, for me, is the worst one. I like to refer to it as a state of mind with the Zen.
I'm on board for that, and I'm on board for, like, it also doesn't really make sense that the first 2 dragons are, like, random other elemental drakes. That's, like, a leftover mechanic from when there wasn't really a traditional Soul mechanic. Yeah, but... I guess it's just part of the game now. Maybe someday. Someday we'll get another
it's like
Dragon rework off season.
It's like the river and the turn before the flop, where you find out what the Soul actually is.
Yeah.
What was scary and quite stressful was actually the darkness.
Nice dodge from Saber. They were able to flash away from the Temper Fade. Lower and lower. Here's a between worlds across about 4 members. Already Ryu going to be the first one down. Hery going to join him as Hena is able to find a safe space to fire away from 2-for-1 team fight. Ultra Prime going to claim the Dragon, and this game isn't over quite yet, Cubby.
That was a very weird sequence for me because the observers were toggling all the darkness that Ultra Prime had to get through. And they just kind of walked in there and forced their way in, and OMG gave it all. And Saber, who has been the pog in all of Ultra Prime's wins, hit a massive between worlds that is going to keep Ultra Prime in this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they were walking into the darkness. The thing about the darkness is you don't know what's in it. Sometimes there's enemies waiting for you. Sometimes there's nothing, though. And in this case, it's not an actual barrier. It's mental, right? You can just kind of walk into the fog, and if nobody's there to punish you, then you don't get punished. Saber, great flash at the start of this.
I mean, my old boy Haichao went for the flank, didn't cast the Realm Warp, and is waiting.
There's a Q.
And kills Nautilus. And that's not exactly what you're looking for when it comes to Rise Impact. So I think the lack of Realm Warp is going to make me reach for my 6 iron a little bit more. Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. Perhaps. Listen, he's 4-0-1, man. You can't get upset yet.
No, I can. He finds ways to be invisible in fights. It tilts me because he does good in lane. He has good elements of his gameplay, but if you can't fight, you can't be relevant in the bang moments where the games are decided around these objectives. You can never make it as an elite player. And yeah, that's been my struggle, my battle with Haichao. But you know what? Actualizer Rise might actually make me believe he's able to have a big fight. And Haichao can carry this game, so we'll see if he has it in himself. He is very far ahead. He is the big benefactor off this early game for OMG. But a little bit of an oopsie from them, or him there, and a good execute. As the flank that he was going for didn't really come through, and there was no attempt at a realm warp or anything creative. So I'm a little sad. It was a good game for Haichao until then, Gordo, and I had to be reminded.
Yeah, you did, but Actualize just a hell of a drug, like you said. It is so strong, on the rise, and it can absolutely turn around some of these fights. We've seen it turn around multiple games in the LPL already this season. Baron up for the taking, has been for a while. Probably a bit of a bold call for either of these compositions to start off at this point, but fighting over the river, we are never above that. Neither team going towards the bottom lane for now. Finally, Hery going to go and reset that one. See if Ultra Prime are going to try to force something here, because Liangchen's here with the rest of the squad. Nobody's answering Hery right now.
They always force Starry out. Again, so I think top laners at home can really take note of what Liangchen's doing right now. You're right, no one's answering Hery, but this is a timer where you can see the Kasante drop that. Did enable up to get a little bit of control. Now he's going to be forced back. Hery's TPing.
Little Rune Prison in the Tempered Fate combo. XiaoXia and Grizzly getting focused down. Rio dumps forward, going to be able to throw down the Crescent Guard, trying to knock folks back. A nice Tempered Fate, or rather a nice equalizer comes down across the rest of the team, finding some of that damage.
Okay,
Haichao gets on towards the carry, finds Hena, and takes him down. 1 kill for OMG, and that might be all it takes to get out of the Baron.
I was tilted. He was going after Nautilus again. You know what? It ended up being good. The Actualizer, it was down, but he does find the Yunara. That is the priority target.
Oh, they're not done.
They're not done.
Liangchen stepping forward, still plenty tanky, and the Baron shredding them so much. Rio, cut off from the rest of the team, takes a different path than the rest of OMG, but they do get out. No Baron for Hena's death.
Mid turret, maybe. Haichao TP's back. It's going to keep some priority over mid. I want to see who can get control. I don't really want to replay that last fight if I'm being selfish.
Oh,
I wanted to see the setup for the
you
soul.
shall receive.
So I need to keep my eyes on Hena. I think that this exhaust was kind of wasted by XiaoXia because Haichao already punked out his first combo. And this is a really nice equalizer coming out from Hery.
Yeah.
And Hena... That's, I thought Haichao was kind of like, I was questioning why he was chasing the Nautilus, and then Hena made sure that it was a good chase. That kind of looked like when I first started playing Marksman, you know, back in Season 3 before I A-clicked, and I would accidentally right-click the terrain and, you know, walk instead of auto-attacking somewhere. It kind of looks like Hena accidentally did that, though, with the Rise.
Yeah, it feels like a bad click, for sure.
Yeah.
Just step on up into that cavern, and it does end up costing him quite a bit. And Hena, you know, just needs to be able to clean that up here. I feel like we've seen quite a bit of that from Ultra Prime games. Hena just up a bit too far. He's been like a magnet for Tempered Fates this season, and that's happened already in this game as well. See if he can turn that around as Rio finds an angle onto XiaoXia, dives forward. There's the equalizer across the team. There's the Tempered Fate onto 3, and XiaoXia is cooked. But Liangchen up in the front line, trying to kite back away, down to half HP, flashes forward, finds 2. Here's Between Worlds across the team, but the damage is just not manifesting. Realm Warp out to safety. Starry takes a little bit of harassment, but the carries are just forced out entirely. It's a 3-for-0 fight for OMG.
Massive find by Moham. I want to praise Rayo, though, on the back half, because the re-engage looked like it could have showed some promise for Ultra Prime. But that flash Crescent Guard from Rayo shut the door before it could open for Ultra Prime. Really good answer from the rookie in his first ever LPL game. That's going to be Soul, that's going to be Baron, and likely going to spell Doom for up in this first game.
They just couldn't put the pieces together for these team fights, and despite the Aurora Yunara DPS duo, they just don't have the damage to be able to win out these fights after they're already losing their front line way faster than they can deal with.
That was a really good setup by Haichao and Rayo. They kept out XiaoXia, but watch this answer, because this is a decent try from Liangchen, honestly. He gets 2, but the counter from Rayo, it gets both Saber and Hena right on out of there, so they can't follow up with any damage. That is beautifully played by the rookie in his first LPL game. Really, really well played by Rayo.
Great call, pushes back away the carries, stops the damage from coming through. Now it's Dragon Soul, Baron, and a 6K lead. OMG gonna have to really try to not be able to close this one out.
Yeah,
And
kind of
6-0-3
impressed, man.
Haichao, man, he's doing it. He's
mean,
got a match eyes.
I really feel like the story of the first meetup between both these teams, it was the mid-jungle duo, Grizzly and Saber, outperformed. Because Juhan had a really tough series. And Mayo, man, stepping up, stepping in. We got to follow XiaoXia.
It's XiaoXia deep behind enemy lines. Looks for Haichao, doesn't find him. Haichao tries to channel the Realm Orb. Doesn't come through, but he's able to just walk his way back towards the rest of the team. Hena's cut up against the wall. Liangchen just desperately searching for something, but nothing is there. OMG, slam the door shut. A quick, clean ace. No members fall, and the base is soon to follow.
I don't know if he's going to get it, but I'd love to give Rayo the pog for this first ever game, man. I really felt like this was an outstanding Xin Zhao performance. Just watching these crescent guards, and now he's playing in the middle of these fights. Keep in mind, guys, this is the season. This is the split, I should say, for both of these teams. A win here keeps your hopes alive to move into the play-ins, to try and get out of Group Nirvana. If you lose, you're pretty much done for split one after the next series. Big win for OMG. They lost the first bout, but subbing in Rayo, huge difference. Very sound first game from them.
And to take it even further than that, Cubby, I would say between these two teams, OMG have the better chance to really turn their season around too. LNG looks so good in this group, but they've already beaten LGD once. Ultra Prime have already been 2-0'd by LGD in series score. OMG already beat them once and still have another chance on the schedule. I mean, OMG have a real shot at being able to 2-0 LGD and steal away second in this group. It's not impossible.
Yeah, I mean, the tiebreaker is the game score. So at this point, I mean, OMG, they're going to need to find both series wins. They pretty much just need to hope that beating LGD, as it would be a 3-3 versus a potential 2-3 or 3-4. I think OMG is still pretty far behind of the game score, as that is the tiebreaker. But I want to throw all that out the window, man. What a great start for Rayo, man. Like, congrats to him stepping in for Juhan, who we were saying in the pre-show when we were unaware that the sub was going to happen, that we felt like Juhan was the weakest player we had in the LPL. Well, Rayo steps in from the academy team, puts together a great Xin Zhao game, man. Again, the direction from OMG to take red side, where the terrain does help you get to the dragon, get in the pit, the stacking up of the first three Drakes, and how he played some of those late game fights to shut the door on any hope that Ultra Prime had. That's a great debut game, as Rayo did his job and more in that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, what a great performance on the Xin Zhao. It's a staple of the meta. It's exactly the kind of gameplay you want to be able to see when you do get your hands on a pick like this. And it's exactly the kind of kick that OMG needed to be able to actually feel like they get their season rolling here. They certainly have had so many games this split already that just felt unplayable, and they were not able to get involved jungle-wise. They weren't able to find any of those early plays. They weren't able to find the early objectives. They fall behind in these massive deficits before 15 minutes before they're really able to get together and try to have any kind of team fight. That was not a problem for them this game, and it allows them to come on up with the win. Haichao performing very well here as well, getting a little bit of support from that Xin Zhao in the jungle and putting up a really solid Rise game in his first pick of it for 2026.
Yeah, was a good champion for Haichao last year, and some of the looks, I think it was one where he was, again, able to win lane. And that was a very well-played lane and a very well-played game from them. Again, I think the idea of the Rise and the Xin Zhao, it is, you got to dictate the early game against the Trundle, because the scaling of Ultra Prime could have kicked in, could have been real, but just given how quickly they were able to stack those dragons, the objective control was sound. I really feel like Ultra Prime dug their own grave around that Rift Herald. I still want to visit that point as, I think, the decider for this game, or the most important mistake from Ultra Prime, because I think contesting that after burning the two ultimates was a huge mistake, and we really saw that lack of control collapsing into the third dragon here on your screens, where they weren't able to set up, they weren't able to get any sort of advantage. They allowed Hery to walk in for free as they were super disconnected and discombobulated, frankly, trying to answer the rift, trying to play the dragon, trying to do too many things at once. OMG able to find an easy fight, get that third Drake for themselves, and this fight was really the only good look, because Haichao was missing, was going for a flank, never cast the Realm Warp, never really got involved in this fight. Did allow for Saber to hit for a huge 4-man ultimate and do the damage necessary to turn things in Ultra Prime's favor. But outside of that, man, Rayo was fantastic in this game. I think this might have been Moham's best game of the split as well. Juhan, for me, was a very clear issue within this team. And this guy had a .9 KDA. That's not very good in Pro League of Legends, right? You're going to be sub-1 taking the kills and assists. It means you're having a negative impact on the game, on your team. Rayo was anything but that in this game. He was fantastic, and I think the team responded really well to him being in the lineup. I mean, look at how well he plays this fight again. When Liangchen goes in, I know Moham has the big Tempered Fate. That looks like the highlight of the fight. But for me, the highlight is really how Rayo answers this good attempt on a re-engage from Liangchen. We didn't give him that. But look at how good this Flash Crescent guard is. Getting both of the carries out, completely dictating the terrain of the fight, putting the front line in to where his own carries can DPS for free, unthreatened. That is a beautiful fight played by Rayo, and a hell of a debut for him. Congrats on winning the first game. Now we're going to have to see if OMG can win that first series.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just blown away by this last fight, too. Like, just full sends everything onto Haichao, and he just walks away. I mean, he channels a Realm that had no chance of working.
Yeah, he cooked Hena with that and finds Saber, too. It was a really impressive debut for Rayo. I was excited about that, because watching Juhan has not been very exciting so far for this year of LPL. Watching a rookie come in and play like that was exciting. So, this series, I had it in Ultra Prime's hands. If Juhan was going to be in, Rayo steps in, is really changing the tape, changing the trajectory of what could be OMG Split 1.
Yeah, OMG, a team that needed something to give them a little bit of hope at this point in the season, and Rayo does just that in this game at number 1, puts up a really solid performance, and looking like they now have a path laid out before them to actually be able to participate in the postseason, which is not something you would have thought coming on into the night. Deliberating over player of the game here. I'm with you. I'd love to see it go over to Rayo, and it does.
Let's go. He deserved it, man. He really did. I felt like the pace of the game was dictated through the rookie, and that's a great shout in his first ever game. So congrats to Rayo. That was, again, a really promising start, a really promising game for me. When it comes to him, that's his Xin Zhao. Curious to see what else he can do. I know, shout out to Dimitri, Elk Battery behind the scenes, was giving us some Rayo stats. That's his most played so far. So curious to see what else he has up his sleeve. I hope he stays in for the series, Gordo. I think a swap at this point after he just got the Pog and played like that, probably not in the cards for OMG.
Absolutely, and excited to see game number 2. We're going to be back with that very shortly. First things first, if you'd like to support LPL English, consider becoming a Coffee member. Coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, since the vast majority of your contributions will go directly to the show. A lot of the initial payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays on-air talent and content creators. Subscribe to our Coffee, link to the chat, to unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique on-site interviews. That new podcast that's been dropping on the LPL English channel. You can see the episodes early if you are in that premium kind of donator tier. You definitely want to be able to catch those nice and early with games being played each and every day. So check it out on Coffee if you've got the chance. That said, we're going to throw it to a quick break here, and we will be back with game number 2 before long.